What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Week 15 NFL Roundtable. I'm going to be your host tonight. Unfortunately, if you tuned in for Tommy's terrible takes, you won't find them here. We brought the professional squad in tonight, joined by some regulars and one special guest. I'll start with that guest, Price Wallace. Welcome to the NFL Roundtable, buddy. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Should be a fun night. A little different vibe going on tonight, so won't be any yelling. We'll just breeze right through these.
You're going to get the exact opposite of Tommy with Price tonight, guys.
Well, hold on. I don't want to interrupt you, but
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Price kind of heads up all of our PGA product. He also participates and contributes to our NFL product. He runs a Sunday morning show, kind of after inactives come out. Him and some of the guys kind of break down the slate in those final moments, helping folks fill out their lineups over at 4deep.com. The rest of the squad, some of the regulars. Jerry, I'll start with you. How was Week 14, and what are we looking forward to here in Week 15?
Week 14 wasn't as good as Week 13. No Millie runs, but I love this slate. This slate is pretty easy for me. It's going to be a kind of a breeze getting through these games here. There's a lot we can just cross off.
Yeah, I'm sure you're loving this. It's very concentrated chalk. You just play them, get different 1-2 spots, and then you're right there for $1 million again. That's how I'm envisioning it.
Pretty much.
Mike Constantino, looking good this Friday evening. How's it going?
Thank you. Good. Looking forward to it. I mean, what a treat. We had a game last night. We almost scored 100 points with a 33 total. We have 3 games tomorrow, one in every time window. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, it's fun time. It dilutes the main slate, the Sunday slate that we're going to be breaking down here, in my opinion. But it just provides us more football, more entertainment. Last but not least, the GOAT, Trevor. I'm loving that Redskins hat, buddy.
Go! I tell you what, I did not tell you guys this story in the beginning because I wanted to save it live on air. This is the week of the party. I got corporate events all over the fucking city, drinking every night. I'm fucking destroyed right now. Well, I went to a magic show last night in the city, and it was fucking awesome. And then I preceded that up by a strip club. And you know what I found out? I can go bang the girl that lives with me in the back VIP room if I want. A stripper told me that. And I'm like,
Champagne room?
Why the fuck would I go bang the girl that lives with me, a.k.a. my wife, in the back of a dirty, nasty, disgusting? Like, you learn something new every fucking day. Let's go, NFL.
That's right. NFL Week 15. And as I mentioned, as we look to hop in here, for those not subscribed over at the site, we have a promo code VIB20, gets you 20% off your first payment over at the site, where Jerry and I break down the main slate. We'll have our follow-up articles, our cores. Everything will be updated Sunday morning. As I mentioned, Price and the boys have a live show helping you build lineups all the way up to lock. And then Mike's providing UFC.
I hate to interrupt you, but is somebody playing Yahtzee or something? I hear fumbling dice.
I hear dice. I hear dice also.
Keyboarding.
It's probably the new guy. I've never heard that sound before, right?
Neither have I. I don't hear any cell phone dingers and ringers. Maybe that was Tommy the whole time.
Fucking Tommy.
There we are.
Tommy, blame it on us.
That's right. So let's hop into it. We got 10 games, as we mentioned. There's 3 games tomorrow, so they're going to be off the main slate. We have one Thursday. We got 2 on Monday night. So we're not getting to one of those big 12, 13 game slates. So things are a bit more concentrated. Some games that we're certainly going to like to target, I think, in the afternoon window. But we'll start in the 1 p.m. window. Falcons.
Keely, I just wanted to mention for the Saturday slate tomorrow, we're still going to be putting out our core plays and our we're going to put out like cheat sheets in Discord. So you got to be in Discord to get those.
Perfect. All right, Falcons at Panthers. A small 33.5 point total here. Atlanta 3-point road favorites. A game that's going to have some weather. Certainly going to be wet. A little bit of wind. Doesn't appear at the surface super appealing for fantasy perspective. Mike, I'm going to start it with you. Hopefully you're prepared. You're ready right off the bat. Anything you like in this one?
I mean, I'm prepared and ready off the bat, but it's just such a shit game. And last week, I mean, Ritter got there with 29 points. And, I had a bunch of lineups with like him in London or him in like Pitts in London. Situationally, I liked it last week, where this week, I mean, you could always pick on Carolina, but that weather might be a problem down there. They're anticipating a lot of rain and some wind. Really don't love anything, guys. I really can't even fake the funk. I mean, if it was in a dome and a little different, I mean, I will mention that Atlanta has a great offensive line matchup in both the running game and the passing game. But then I just can't trust like the usage of Bijan. I know it turned on a little bit, but they're just still not using them like I wish that they did when I drafted them number 6 overall in my season-long league. So I really don't have much for you in this game, buddy. I am ready and prepared. It's just I've literally no notes on the game. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Jerry, anything you're digging deep for in this one? Jonathan Mingo, I know you've rode him a couple weeks previously.
Yeah, I mean, this game is pretty simple for me. I'm just completely out on all the receivers in this game and both quarterbacks. It's not the environment that I want to look to here. The only interest I would have is in Bijan against this Carolina run defense. That's a defense that we've been picking on all year. I think this is a good spot for him too. And maybe actually Chuba Hubbard on the other side. It's basically just the running game from here. Everything else in the passing game, I'm just completely out on. That's pretty much just about it here. There's other spots on the slate that we're going to be attacking. Those are the only two I would look to here.
Yeah, this is a spot Drake London kind of went, or not the same spot, but Drake London went nuclear last week. Certainly a tougher matchup here against this Carolina pass defense. Goat, anything deep down in the value tier that you like this week in this one?
Well, the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, he runs the ball too. Ritter, a naked Ritter. He's going to go for 175 at a touch. No, I like nothing in this game. Bijan a little bit. Sorry, I tried to do an early Tommy impression. We can pick on him, right? He's not here.
Oh, of course.
All right.
Fair game.
All right. Yeah, no, really don't like anything. Maybe Atlanta defense I could get on board with. But Bijan maybe, but just to be different. Again, you're flipping a coin. We don't know what they're going to do. So,
yeah, I agree with you there. Price, anything in this one for you?
Y'all touched on it. Bijan, I wrote down to be the only actual skill position player I touch. Mingo gets the targets, but there's other better options that are priced around him. And then, like Trev said, the Atlanta defense, because Bryce is going to eat sacks and turn the ball over. But it's one of those shit games you kind of skip on unless you randomly your build lands you on somebody. But Bijan's about it for me.
Yeah, Bijan looks like pretty modest ownership this week. He's checking in kind of one of his lower ownerships, right in the low teens, 13, 15%. So certainly going to be one of the lower owned backs with three.
He's going to go a little bit overlooked here because there's other backs that people are going to be looking at, but it's the nut spot. Carolina is always the nut spot for running backs.
Yeah. So he's the play for me as well. I'm not going to go out on a limb playing any of the value or kind of deep wide receivers in this one. So we'll continue on. Bears at the Browns, 38.5 point total. The Browns 3-point favorites here. I mean, Joe Flacco has been pretty good as he stepped in these first two games. Offensive line, though, continues to deteriorate week over week. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to kind of continue to stand up here. Pretty tough test against this Bears defense, though. They're at home. Price, I'm going to start with you. What are you looking at in this one?
So it's not just the offensive line losing people. Their defense is, I think, Delpit just got done for the year. They lost one of their defensive linemen. So it's actually, I know the game total is only 38, but if you want to get different and contrarian, I don't think it's a bad spot to go with Fields and Moore. Moore actually has a decent matchup. And then losing Delpit on the back end should open things up for him. Komet's okay, but I think it's really just the Fields and DJ Moore show in Chicago. And then the flip side, Njoku's been like the number 3 tight end over the last few weeks, especially Flacco stepping in. He's actually a competent quarterback instead of rolling with DTR and the other trash they were rolling out there. So it's kind of murky in the backfield for him, but I really like Njoku for tight end. And then I really think it's a good spot for Fields and DJ Moore. And if you really want to get weird, I wouldn't mind the Bears defense because they've improved drastically ever the last 3-4 weeks. They've been really solid, but I think it's a nice sneaky spot to get different. If you want to get different, I know this kind of this slate's kind of geared towards playing chalk. But if you're running multiple lineups, I wouldn't mind with the Fields, DJ Moore.
Yeah, I can get with that. Mike, what about you? This is a game I think maybe in the trenches there might be some things to find out.
Yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, you nailed it about the Browns offensive line. This is the lowest I've seen them rated out this entire year. I mean, they're basically 0 in the running aspect of it, and they still have a nice positive plus 17 in the passing game. And that's where I'm going to attack. I don't think you can run on this Bears defense. You talk about the Bears defensive improvement, but it's been significant in stopping the run, and you can still attack them in the passing game. And then ironically, that's the part I love of this game. And I still kind of think they're underpriced. I mean, Njoku, who has been great over the last several weeks, he was priced at 4,100 for 3 weeks in a row. And even after basically exploding, they only raised them to 4,700. So I think that you can get a bunch of pieces of this passing game so cheap. I mean, Flacco comes out, off the couch, and then he gets in his first game. I mean, a year is 17 points, and he follows it up with 25 points. And then when you look at the target share, I mean, obviously Amari Cooper's clearly the guy there, coming off a 14 target, week, and he's still at only 6,000. So it's like any combination really of Flacco, Amari Cooper, and Njoku for me. I don't mind the double stack, obviously, at those price points. But if not, I'll be dripping and drabbing Njoku and, Cooper here and there at their price.
Jerry?
I mean, yeah, it's another game that I have very little interest in. There's just better quarterback, wide receiver options on the slate that I'm going to look to attack. For Cleveland, I think Jerome Ford is playable at his price. He doesn't have big upside, but he consistently puts up an average of about 13 points a game. And for his price, if you find yourself landing on him, I don't hate that. I don't mind using him. As far as Njoku goes, he has a decent matchup, and we saw a big game out of him last week. But I don't like his price at 4,700. There's cheaper tight ends on the slate that I'd rather use or pay up a little more for other guys. So I think I'm just out on him. And on the Bears side, there is absolutely nobody I'm looking to play here.
All right. Trevor, how about you?
So question before I answer anything. So what's the weather situation here? I mean, do we have any weather concerns with this game?
No, I don't. There's a light chance of some rain, but it's not going to be like snowing or windy or anything like that.
Yeah, this is like another day in Cleveland.
Okay, no, I have no problem with one-offs in this game. I'm not really on a stack. I mean, but I have no problem with some one-offs. Moore, Cooper, Njoku. But that's it for me. I'm looking to go elsewhere this weekend as well, but I'm fine with one-offs.
Yeah, I'm more in line with Price here. I like the Fields more stacks, not my first 1-2 lineups, but I'm kind of finding them within lineups 4 and 5. I like them quite a bit. Like, I think no one's going to look to this game. They're going to be quickly scared off by the Browns' full season defensive abilities, but not the same. They're pretty banged up, and I'm of the mindset that this is the week Flacco this is the real Flacco. It's kind of like when Dobbs went to Minnesota. It was a flash in the pan, put up some really good games. You get a little bit of game tape, offensive line breaks down, and then just completely shits the bed. Unlucky for Vikings fans. But I think this is the week for Browns fans that they take a step back. So I like the Fields more stacks as a contrarian piece in tournaments this week. Anything else in this one, anybody?
No.
All right, we'll keep it rolling. We'll go inside to a dome. We got the New York Giants visiting the New Orleans Saints, 39.5 point total. Saints 5.5 point favorite. Tommy Cutlets is kind of getting it done here for the Giants. Don't blink too fast, but if they can get this win, they're still alive in that NFC East spot. So, Jerry, I'll start with you. Your boy Shaheed may be back here for the Saints. Anything you like for this one?
Yeah, for the Giants, I think my main interest here is in these cheap receivers. They've seemed to kind of come back to life a little bit with Tommy Cutlets under center. I think you can use any one of them as fillers in your lineups, like Wan'Dale Robinson, Slayton, or Hyatt. I think all of them are playable at their price. I think Wan'Dale probably sees the most ownership. But, I mean, from the Giants, those are the only ones I'm going to be targeting, those cheap receivers. On the Saints side, I don't think I'm going to be getting the Kamara here. I'd probably just rather pay up a little bit more and get the CMC. The thing with Kamara is I like him a lot more when they're in trailing scripts. That's when he's getting the majority of those catches, and I just don't see them getting to that type of game here. So I don't think I want to pay up for him. Plus, we saw Jamal Williams get 11 carries last week, and he's kind of now entered the vulture conversation along with Taysom Hill. So I think Kamara's upside's a little bit capped. I probably would. We got to wait and see what's the injury status with some of these receivers. If Shaheed's in, I'll probably have a little bit of interest in him. I don't think I'm going to Olave, and I'm not going to be using Juwan Johnson or A.T. Perry or any of these guys. So my main interest is in those cheap receivers from the Giants and maybe Shaheed if he's in.
I saw he was expected to play.
Shaheed is expected to play?
Him and Taysom both got the expected to play.
Yeah, I always have – Shaheed is always on my radar on any slate because he's just got that upside that can win you a tournament.
Absolutely. Mike, how about you?
I'm interested in the running backs here. I mean, you could run on both of these teams. I mean, they're both really bad against the run. Barkley, I mean, his usage is clearly it. He's the horse, in the Giants offense at 7,300. He's 1,300 less than Kamara. And I kind of agree with you guys about Kamara playing from behind. And even last week, when he should have been catching the ball, he really didn't get the volume and the targets that he usually got. So it kind of picks me off of him at 1,300 more than Barkley. But with Saquon, again, I mean, the offense runs through him. I mean, he's been putting up decent showings. He has like a dud in between a 24 and a 30-point game. He's catching the ball. He's getting 3, 4, 5 targets a game. And he's getting all the, rushing attempts. He ran the ball 20 times last game. Saints are tough, though, man. It just historically is what I'm saying. Like to go down to New Orleans and play in the Dome historically is tough, right? But if anything, I mean, the path is going to go on the ground. I mean, look at Cutlets, even ran for like 70 yards the other night. I wouldn't be shocked, even to see him run a little bit, but don't think I'm going to get the Cutlets here, even at 5,000. So it's going to be Saquon for me. Saquon at 7,300 I like. And you guys talked earlier about sneaky defenses. The Giants at 2,700 isn't a bad look here, paired with Saquon.
Trevor, how about you?
Listen, Mike hit it right on the fucking nose. Everyone's forgetting New Orleans at home. It is a really, really, really hard place for anyone to come in and play, let alone Tommy Cutlets, who, had a pretty favorable environment, let's just say, last week. So I think he gets destroyed. The Giants get fucking destroyed here. On board with Kamara and on board with some of these low-end wide receivers as one-offs. No problem with the Robinson, Slayton. They fit into your lineup. You love it. You need to save some salary. But I also like New Orleans defense, but they're a little pricey. But I think the Giants get absolutely fucking embarrassed this weekend because it's in New Orleans, simply.
Cutlets.
I want to add one more thing to you guys before you pass on.
Gumbo.
Yeah. You got it, Mike.
Yeah, I wanted to add that I really also co-sign Wan'Dale Robinson here at 3,700. I mean, I watched the game. I put a prop bet on Hyatt, and I'm shocked that it didn't even hit. But he was looking to Wan'Dale Robinson a lot, Cutlets. So at 3,700 for how much he looked at him and the results, he's still a bargain at that 3,700 price range. So I want to make mention of that.
Yeah, all those receivers are Wan'Dale, Slayton, Hyatt. I mean, it could be any one of those guys.
Yeah, but again, watching the game and being here in New York, man, whatever he has, he's bonded with Wan'Dale Robinson a little more. I mean, it was Hyatt the week before, right? He had that blow-up game, and then he kind of reeled off. But Wan'Dale's been a little bit consistent, and had a bit of a blow-up game for him last week. But you're right. Yeah, of course, you got to mix and match and plug and play. But my preferred one is Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, 7 targets last week, 6 receptions, even 2 carries. So they're kind of scheming to get him the ball as much as they can. I have him coming in, for a value receiver, pretty high owned. He's right around 30% expected this week on DraftKings. Yeah, right now he's just one of the more popular.
Yeah, it's going to come down to just the ownership. If you have a chalky lineup, play the other guys. If you're a little bit off the chalk, you can jam Wan'Dale in there.
It could be a bounce back for Hyatt then after he shit the bed last week. To that point with the ownership. What's he coming in at? Nothing, like 3%?
Yeah,
they're all lower than
3-4%.
Wow, Wan'Dale Robinson came in that high. I'm shocked.
Well, Hyatt's a better athlete too. If you're going to go that cheap, I'd rather have the guy who has the ability to take the top off the defense and get 50, 60-yard catches than a 30% on Wan'Dale, who's just an intermediate guy.
I didn't think I definitely didn't think you were going to say that. 30% owned takes me off him. I thought it was going to be nothing like the other.
Yeah,
guy.
he's like one of the highest owned receivers on the slate projection.
All right.
Game flow is going to be there. I cannot see how the game flow is not there for the passing game for the Giants.
Yep.
Unless they just completely shit the bed and can't do anything on offense, which is a possibility.
Well, that's fair.
But yeah, I think Olave is the biggest question mark, right? Because I saw he's a true game time decision. So if he misses, I think that actually bumps Kamara up a bunch. Because I don't know how to say Thibodeau, how the fuck you say his name, coming off the edge has been elite at putting pressure on. So that's going to make Carr get the ball out pretty quickly, which Kamara on the check down, he already gets 6-7 targets. So you add that. But other than him, there's no way Tommy Cutlets does what he did last week. I think he's going to get wrecked by the Saints defense. So I think they get their ass kicked. I'd be Saints defense. If you want to go cheap, Jalen Hyatt's the cheap guy for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Certainly not core plays on these giant cheap guys. I think we can find other cheap guys. They're certainly in play. Kamara, I'm with you, Price. If Olave's out, I have some interest there. But if Olave's in, this whole game for the most part for me from a skill player position will be kind of off the board. So we'll continue on. Next up, I think a little bit more of an attractive fantasy game. We got the Bucs visiting the Packers. 42.5-point total. Packers 3.5-point road favorites. And the Packers really shit the bed there last week. Love, he went several weeks protecting the ball, not turning it over, and then got a little bit reckless. Appears he may get Aaron Jones back. Looks questionable, on the better side of questionable for this week. So getting a little bit healthy, but he will be without Christian Watson, who's going to be out for the Packers. Mike, I'm going to start this one with you. Bucs, Packers, anything we like here?
Yeah, I mean, starting right at the top, I mean, we have one of, if not the worst defenses versus the pass, in the Bucs, and one of the worst defenses versus the run in the Packers. Rashad White. I mean, I've been playing him like almost every week, and he just does okay and good every week. And even last week, I play him again, and he had 20-plus points. He had 24 points at 6,800. They put him at 7,000. For his usage in this spot, I think that's, again, a great play. And I'd rather pay $7,000 for White than spending up at 7,500 for Evans. He's getting all the running work and he's catching the ball. He has touchdown upside and everything. And now you're getting a dream matchup on the road. I think they're going to play it a little conservative and run the ball more. Green Bay is another tough place to play, man. Lambeau Field, and at the Saints. So I love Rashad White in that spot. And then on the flip side, maybe get really funky here. I think it's a great bounce back spot for the Packers as a whole, as a team. And last week was more of an outlier. But they don't really have condensed targets, on the Green Bay side. I found myself on Reed a lot because I like the gadget end of it, that he runs the ball a lot. And you saw his explosiveness, last week. So I actually like Love, and as crazy as it sounds, at 6,200. And rather than guessing, with the pass catching and, I don't want to say naked Love, but I'd probably wind up pairing him with Reed. So a Love and Reed combo with a Rashad White comeback is the only things I'm really looking at here.
Price, what do you got?
So I'm with you on the Rashad White side of it. I think he's one of the best running back plays on the slate, given he dominates the volume for them. But I'm always a proponent of old Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Dude, Evans has been amazing this season. He just has this habit of getting tackled or going out at the fucking 1 yard line and not punching it in. And then, White gets little bunny touchdowns for the free 6 points. But Evans has a good matchup. So I wouldn't mind going him if you want to get a little different. But I do think Jaden Reed is one of the better sub 5K options at receiver. I just think he's going to be a little too popular for what I want to do. Just based on, I believe Watson is doubtful, so I don't see him getting in there, and that means Reed's ownership will go through the roof, I would imagine. That's about it on the Packers. So I don't think Jordan Love is good at football, so I don't really want to jam him into a lineup. And I prefer the price savings to use Reed over Dobbs. So really, Rashad White's probably going to be the guy I target out of this game out of anybody.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Jaden Reed kind of coming in right now around 22-23%. He's one of the guys that should see a significant ownership jump up as you go up in stakes or in smaller field contests, probably north of 30%. He's kind of right there in that what I would equate to Drake London spot last week. Came in pretty high owned. We really liked him. He was really just underpriced for the role. That could be Jaden Reed here. So, Jerry, what are your thoughts? Do you like a chalky Jaden Reed and anything else from this game?
I mean, so here's the thing with Reed. If Aaron Jones plays, I'm out on Reed because they're using him a lot out of the backfield. The touchdown that he had the other night, it was a running play. A lot of the yards that he's racking up in those plays, they're using him out of the backfield a lot. I think that kind of goes away a little bit if Aaron Jones plays. So if Aaron Jones is in, I'm out on Reed. If he's out, then I'll definitely have interest in him, even at his ownership. And that's the way I'm treating the whole Green Bay side. There's nobody else on Green Bay that I like. I'm not playing Jordan Love. I'm not playing any of the other receivers. There's just better receivers to attack on the slate. For the Bucs, I'm with Price on this one. I love Rashad White. He just keeps racking up numbers every week. He's becoming one of those backs he's in play every week. I think he's going to be a little bit overlooked on the slate because of where he's priced. But the Packers have been allowing the sixth most fantasy points to running backs over the last 5 weeks. So it's not a defense that you're too worried about. I think Mike Evans is interesting here as an ownership play. He's in that same price range as a lot of the other popular plays on the slate. So I think he's going completely overlooked here. And we've seen that he's capable of having just monster fantasy days with how many targets he gets. So I have interest in Mike Evans here. Mike Evans and Rashad White only for me on the Bucs.
Goat, we digging deep. Is there anyone you like in this one?
When you guys zig, the goat's gonna zag. We got Romeo Dubs. Everyone's gonna be on Reed. We're gonna get an upside Dobbs game this weekend. Not today, but this weekend. I really like it for a leverage play, and I'm a fan. So I'll have some Dobbs, and on top of White, can't go wrong with White. But that's it.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft, tight end here for the Packers, seems to be getting a bit of steam. I haven't, he's at 3K. I haven't projected right around 20% owned this week, kind of being the sole pass catching option for the Packers. So him and Reed certainly looks to suck up a good bit of ownership, but kind of with Jerry, if Aaron Jones is in, certainly going to take away from a lot of these pass catchers. I wouldn't mind a flyer on a guy like Wicks. He looks extremely explosive, 4K. Will be, the third option there for Packers wide receivers, but none of these guys are going to soak up a ton of targets, like double digits. But if Aaron Jones is in, I do like him. He's pretty interesting. If we get the green light for him, and then on the other side, I'm with everyone else here, Rashad White. I actually don't mind a little bit of Chris Godwin this week. The Packers, have been beat up a little bit more in the middle of the field. It was encouraging to see Baker start to look his way last week. He saw 10 targets. For the first time all season, he was kind of the guy getting a ton of targets. And if Jair Alexander is in, he's currently questionable. It could be a matchup similar to last week when they had the Falcons and Terrell was out on Mike Evans and, made his life difficult, which funneled a lot of volume towards Chris Godwin. So I don't mind Chris Godwin in the middle of the field either. Any other takes from this one anyone has?
Is he for sure playing? I thought I saw that he was questionable with a knee.
Who's that?
Godwin.
I saw the same thing.
Yeah, he is questionable.
So if he misses, do you like any of the cheaper guys?
Tune in Sunday morning, Price.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, Trey Palmer could certainly be in play. 3.1K. We've seen him kind of fill in as a third receiving option, but we'll just have to kind of look.
I would put Kate Otten into play a little bit too.
Yep, absolutely. 3.2K. So I think this game certainly has some more fantasy appeal than a lot of the others we've talked about thus far in this 1 o'clock window. Let's keep it rolling here. New York Jets visiting Miami Dolphins. This game does project to have a good bit of weather. There is chance of rain. There's going to be 20-mile-an-hour winds sustained with some gusts upwards of 35 miles an hour. So when they get up to that range, if that's still confirmed on Sunday morning, certainly a little bit of a concern for the deep downfield passes. However, we know Miami likes to get the ball out quick. Is this a spot we're going to pay all the way up through the nose, 9,900 for Tyreek? Jerry, I know you've been the whisperer. You've been riding him all year. He's made you a ton of money. Are you going to pay for him this week?
I mean, it just depends. Is he playing? Is he not playing? I could say that I'm probably not going to play him, even if he does play. And with or without him, I don't think I'm going to get to Tua here. And with Waddle, I would probably have more interest in Waddle if Tyreek was in, because if Tyreek's out, Waddle's going to draw that Sauce Gardner coverage. So it's a tricky thing with Miami here. As of now, it doesn't look like I'm going to be getting to any of these guys, Tua, Tyreek, or Waddle. As far as the running backs go, they're both kind of priced up here, and they were both kind of limited in practice this week. If one of them was to miss, I would have interest in the other guy. But if they're both in, I think one of them could have a good game here, but I'm just not going to sit here and try to guess which one it is. And I don't want to pay the price with that guessing either. So for the most part, I'm just completely out on Miami here. You put in the fact that it's a weather game too. And, there's other spots I have much more interest in. So I'm just out on those guys. And the same thing with the Jets. I kind of like playing the Jets more when they're at home. I don't like them in the spot at all here as dogs in a windy game. I think it's just going to be one of those games where just Miami kind of controls it, and we don't see much from either team.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'd be remiss not to mention Zach Wilson's second half performance last week after being skunked.
Offensive player of the week, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. And Cutlass was the
good at
NFC
home.
Player
Could
of the
you
Week.
imagine being a fly on the wall of Tommy's house during the second half of that game?
Just utter filth, walking around with no pants on, I'm sure.
Ritter had
unbelievable
29 fantasy points. Zach Wilson was fucking Offensive Player of the Week. What a week for Tommy. Tommy G, not Tommy D, not Tommy Cutlets, Tommy Buffalo Wings.
That's right. So Price, what are you looking at here? Any love for the Jets or any of these higher priced Dolphin skill players?
I'll always be salty about the Jets beating the shit on my Texans last week, but actually I got lucky because I guess there's some dispute with DirecTV. I didn't get to watch it, so I didn't get too angry. But I think really it comes down to Tyreek's ankle, and then A-Chain, I guess, has a hurt toe. So, I mean, those are two of the more explosive guys for him. It's hard to, like Jerry said, pay up for Tua. Just in the game environment, when the Jets have a really solid defense, it's, if Tua doesn't, or if Hill doesn't play, we saw how mediocre their offense is. We're not in sync. They don't have the same deep threat. Waddle can't fill that role, and they don't have the guy to step into Waddle's role. So I wouldn't mind Mostert. He just fucking scores touchdowns. It's what he's 18 for the year, something like that. So he's a touchdown monster. Other than that, I don't mind the Dolphins defense, but they're expensive. There's zero chance Zach Wilson does that shit again. I think the Miami defense is much better than Houston's. And I mean, maybe I'm just still salty, but I don't think Wilson's good at football. And I don't think he has near the success he had last week. Garrett, I mean, you have to eat crow from last week with you, Healy, but I don't know. With Zach Wilson throwing the ball, it's hard to get behind any of the Jets. So to me, it's Mostert, and that's about it.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? Anything come up with the notes?
I think it's a really tough spot for both teams, actually. Yeah, a huge letdown spot for the talentless Zach Wilson. I'm with Price. I mean, he stinks. I don't think he's good. He did look good. It's crazy. I'll give him his flowers a little bit. He was making some throws that I can't even believe I'm saying this, but it looked like Aaron Rodgers. Like he flicked the ball out to the right on a play, and I'm like, wait a second. Like it was like a double take, because that's like how Rodgers like zings it, and he did like another one. And it comes down to, a lot of New York media, a lot of people I know in the area here close to the team, that he plays good when there's no pressure on him. And they said that you saw it earlier in the year when he was down, I think it was versus KC, like 17-0. He started to play good. And this week, I mean, he had literally nothing to lose. I mean, they went through every backup that sucked worse than him, and he had just like no pressure, and he actually played good. But situational football, man, this is a different spot going down to Miami. This Miami defense is fucking ferocious. They look great. 4 weeks in a row for fantasy purposes in double digits, but they're playing good. And I think it's their time to step up this week, with Miami shit in the bed last week. And it's not even a get right spot for Miami. After a dud of a performance in the passing game, I would normally run to the window to bet Miami in the next game, right? But Hill is still hobbled. They didn't look good without him. And the Jets' defensive strength is defending the pass. So I'm not on them here. And I agree with you, Healy, about in and out, the Waddle play. But I'm on Mostert. As much as you like Ashane, people call him Ashane on the radio. I don't even know the right one, but he's like a fucking made of glass a little bit. I mean, now we're dealing with his third injury, really. So even if he does play, I mean, there's no guarantee he's not going to be in that blue tent fast. So Mostert's the play for me and the Miami defense. I have a lineup I'm fiddling with now, and I have Mostert and Rashad White and my running back, and I have the Dolphins defense in there right now. So I like that correlation.
I like it. Trev, anything you're looking at here?
Absolutely. I think you got two really good plays sitting in the Jets side. Tight end Conklin and Wilson, the wide receiver. I mean, game flow is going to be there. They're going to be behind. They're going to be throwing the ball. Look at the price, guys. You're missing it. 5,800 for Garrett Wilson. Tons of upside there. I don't care what the wind's doing. He's going to get 10-yard passes. He can beat the defense, after the catch. Conklin, his targets have been there. 6, 9, and 5 in his last 3. Why not? I mean, I think they're both good plays. Conklin's 3K. Wilson's, 50? Was it 56? 5,800?
58.
Yeah,
yep.
I really like both of those plays because of game flow.
Yeah, I think Wilson's going to be a guy that most people fall on, especially in cash game formats at that price. A guy that should see double-digit targets, which brings him a pretty safe floor, with obviously some upside there to break deep ones, or he's a popular target around the red zone. So I can get behind that one, Trev. But Mostert is the guy I'm looking at most here on the Dolphins side as well, that I'll be most exposed to. But I think this game overall isn't great for fantasy purposes, or at least that's what I'm hoping. It's not going to shoot out or anything like that. But obviously, weather can be a big factor here, and then Tyreek status as well. So we'll certainly circle back around Monday or Sunday morning, kind of with the latest to help break this one down. Let's continue on. We got prices. Houston Texans visiting the Tennessee Titans. It's Derrick Henry season, and it's December against the Texans. This is traditionally like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Price, can your boys finally figure out how to shut this guy down late in the season?
I think we're going to hold him to like 120 and 2 touchdowns. So
Let's consider shutting him down.
I mean, my Texans are so fucked with Nico out, Dell out, Stroud out. The defense is not good. Luckily, the Titans aren't that good either, but it's going to be a rough end of the year. And Henry should do well. I know Tajay went bananas out of the backfield with receiving last week, but I think it's Henry. And then Hopkins actually has, I think, one of the best matchups in the entire slate just because of the cover 4 zone that Houston tends to run on defense. I think he's top 6 in the league against that look. So I know Will Levis, but anytime you have a receiver who excels like that and you got the revenge narrative, it's kind of hard to ignore that Hopkins could just teabag us all day on Sunday along with Derrick Henry. But there's not a single play I like on Houston unless you just randomly fall into Schultz. That's about it.
Gotcha. So you don't like these value receive, like with Nico, Tank out, these value guys compared to the Giants. And I don't have anyone on Houston over 5% owned on the entire team this week. So
I mentioned it a few times on the Sunday show. Whenever teams play the Titans, they just don't get as many possessions because Vrabel loves to just run it with Henry, chew the clock, and then I don't want to chase a Mechie or Hutchinson and hope you get the same kind of output as one of the Giants guys when they're probably going to get 3 or 4 less possessions than the other team would.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jerry, how about you? You jamming Derrick Henry?
I mean, how can you not love him here? I mean, we mentioned the history against the Texans here. So I definitely have interest in Henry here. I'm definitely going to have him in some of my lineups. I love me those revenge narratives. Hopkins, I mean, he's coming off a huge game on Monday night, against his old team. I mean, him and Levis look to be clicking pretty good right here. I think we see a big game out of him again. I love my boy Chig Okonkwo. It's not a slate where I want to be paying up for tight ends, so I love him here for his price. Mostly because of his price. I don't know how the kind of upside he has.
Stop! I can't take it anymore. No.
I know. You could fade him and I'll play him.
We say that every week, Jerry. Stop.
Listen, he's cheap. You gonna pay up for Kelsey? Go ahead.
No, but I'm not gonna take Chig and
I just paid the same price for Conklin.
I'll take Chig over Conklin any day.
I mean, wow.
I love Chig. I'm gonna be playing. You know what? Now I'm gonna be playing even more of him this week.
That raw athleticism that Chig brings just reels Jerry.
Chig is gonna have one of those games at some point in the next 2 to 3 weeks. This might be one of them.
Mike's thinking 2 to 3 years is what he's waiting for Chig.
You know
he
what's funny?
his name.
You're not going to believe me. You're not going to believe me, but sometimes when I'm building lineups and it comes down to like the last person, I play this like psychological mind game with myself. Like I actually had Chig and Okonkwo in a lineup like the last couple of weeks because when I land on that price point, I hear Jerry's voice, and it's funny because there's going to be a week where he's going to stick it right up my ass. And I just I mercy play him like almost like once every other week, and
don't give up on these guys,
buddy. He doesn't get there ever.
Mike, you can't say that kind of stuff on YouTube now. Benny already clipped that. Like it's stuff up your ass, and come on.
That's nothing compared to what they say on the Steak Ashen show. I've been listening. I mean, there's racism. I mean, there's gender hate. I mean, there's a lot going on there. So this is the least of my worries.
No, we're gonna hire Tommy an HR lady. Or man, HR man.
Good luck.
So Jerry, obviously Henry, you're high on. Hopkins, you're high on. Chig, you're high on. Just thinking through that, like, are you okay playing two of those guys, like Henry and Hopkins in the same lineup, or are you trying to, one or the other?
I would play Chig with one or the other. I don't know if I would play Henry and Hopkins together, but Chig is somebody that you can play with both of them or one or the other. For the Texans, it's kind of tough to play any of them here with all the injuries to the offense. I'm not going to play any of the running backs. I think we're just going to have to wait and see with them who's active and who's not on Sunday. If we get a bunch of inactives, I'm going to have interest in those cheap receivers. Maybe like Robert Woods or John Mechie. I maybe have interest in them as value options. If any of the other receivers are in, I'm not going to play any of those guys. I'm not playing Noah Brown. Nico's out. I don't know the deal with Dalton Schultz right now. I'm not going to play him either. So it's just going to come down to those value guys, whether I'm going to play them or not.
Yeah, tough to get behind the Texans with Davis Mills, guy who had a few opportunities and it's really never looked good. Mike, let us know how much you love Chig Okonkwo this week.
Well, you did take the words out of my mouth because when you guys were talking about it earlier, do you want to play any of these cheap receivers, blah, blah, blah. And I was dying to say it, but no, not with Davis Mills or Case Keenum throwing him the ball here. And Jerry, I think, brought it up. I mean, great point about the limited possessions. Was that Price or Jerry? Who said that?
Price.
Price.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real thing. And then, week after week, I keep talking about this is the time of year that San Fran does their thing. They win 5 games in a row, blah, blah, blah. And we've been seeing it. It's also the time of year that Mike Vrabel in Tennessee wins these games at home, and Henry runs for 200 yards against the Texans, kind of like you said. And it's just if you're stuck in this little matrix here, you'd be a fool not to play it. And what a great spot, Tennessee at home versus a dilapidated Texans team that's missing basically their entire skill room, right? And you're not going to play the running backs against the Titans D in Tennessee. And it's also looking like a weather game down there. So great spot for Henry. And then I'm going to play a lineup, obviously with Henry. And then I'm going to play a lineup, I think, with Levis and Hopkins. This could be a statement game for Levis. I mean, I like the fire in this kid. He yelled at Hopkins on the sideline 2 weeks ago. I mean, he plays with passion. They have a clear connection, and it's a bit of a leverage spot to get off of the Henry lineup. So I'm not even opposed to playing all three of them, as crazy as that sounds. You'll just basically get the entire offense, quarterback, running back, and receiver. So it's those three for me, Tennessee, and 0 on the Houston side.
Price, given Texans' defensive injuries. How do you expect the pass rush to be anything at all for the Texans?
So I think their pass rush is still decent. Anderson's been amazing as a rook, but the problem is their secondary is shit. And I mean, you can always have Chig and Henry chip, which is going to give Levis the time to get away. So I could see them getting some sacks, but they're also, I mean, they can't stop the Jets from scoring a bunch of points. It's kind of hard to get behind them doing anything to the Titans, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I like Levis when he's going to have a little bit of time. He's really struggled with teams that can kind of get home on him. And no one mentioned Tajay Spears. Not sure, Goat. I'll go to you. Is that a deep sleeper for you, or are you just Henry season, jam him in? And
Henry, jam him in and wait because there might be some value receivers. That's simple. This game, whatever.
And Spears looked explosive. The kid, very, very athletic. From an eye test, watch the game perspective, Tajay Spears looked really, really good. Certainly hard to pass up a Henry here. And Jerry, were you shocked, at his projected ownership? Like, it looks like he's going to be 5-6% in this matchup, and I think even lower as you go up in stakes this week.
It's just because the way the pricing is set up this week and who everybody's spending up for. Most people are going to be spending up for CMC, so it doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room to play those guys in the mid-tier like Henry.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, again, this is like, I would think it's a chalky or one of the higher owned pieces of it, given time of year and his history against them, but certainly going to be pretty low owned this week. Again, if you're building Levis stacks, Hopkins tears apart this defensive scheme, but with Treylon Burks back, a guy that Tommy and I have been on kind of all season. He is 3K. He won't get any ownership. So if you're down there dabbling amongst 3K wide receivers, he's someone you can consider as well. Let's keep it rolling. Chiefs at the Patriots, 37-point total. Kansas City, 8.5-point road favorites here. Pachenko will remain out for the Chiefs. The Patriots side, Ramondre Stevenson will be out. So welcome to Ezekiel Elliott Chalk Week in 2023. Mike, start with you. Are you going to eat this Ezekiel Elliott 45 to 55% on chalk?
No, I mean, I'm not. I'm actually paying up at running back this week. As of right now, I mean, my three main running backs are in the 7K range, White, Mostert, and Henry. Those are three running backs I really like. I think there's a lot of value at receiver and quarterback, and you could always find something at tight end. So definitely for FanDuel, the three running back attack, but a little bit of a spend up. Elliott would be a great play, but it's not like Kansas City sucks against the run, and then on top of it, it's another weather game type spot. And then on the Chiefs side, with Pacheco out, I mean, again, you never know what you're getting with Andy Reid and McKinnon and Allaire and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, something's off. I said it over the last 2 weeks, something's just not right about the Chiefs. I mentioned it last week about Kelsey saying that he looks hurt or awkward or slow. And I don't know. They're just not the Chiefs at this time of the year like they usually are. Now they got to go up to Foxborough after reports come out this week that they're parting ways with Belichick. If there was ever a time for Belichick to give one more fuck you to everybody around him, this is his Super Bowl. Go beat the Chiefs at home for your send-off. So real tricky game. I'm really not in love with anything here either.
Jerry, how about you? 22 carries for Zeke last week, 8 targets. Zappy seemed to dump everything off to him. 5.8K is pretty reasonable. I'm assuming you have a little bit of interest here.
I mean, it's sick to think that you're going to be playing a 40% Zeke on any slate. I mean, but we saw last week the volume. It's going to be there. Plus, it's a home game. This Chiefs defense, it just looks tired to me. Even in a trailing script, Zeke's he could pay off that price tag on catches alone. We saw him catch 7 balls last week. James Cook just had 5 catches against these guys for 80 yards last week. Also, I mean, I'm not fading him at all. I'm not going to say I'll have him in every lineup, but I'm definitely going to be playing some Zeke. Besides Zeke, I like the cheap receivers also. Demario Douglas, Juju. I think they're both in play here at their price points. You're going to need some value on the slate. Those are two receivers you can kind of look to for value. For KC, I'm not going to be paying up for Mahomes or Kelsey. I'm out on them. The only receiver that is playable for the Chiefs is probably Rashee Rice. He looks to be really popular on the slate with the way he's priced. But he's kind of separated himself from like the rest of the dog shit on the team. He's put up good fantasy production the last 3 weeks. As far as the running backs go, we got nothing really from them last week. And now this week, they're kind of both priced up a little bit more. I mean, if you kind of land on one of them, I don't mind using them, but I just don't see the upside with either one of them. So, I mean, they're not focal points for me. If I happen to land on one of them, or I kind of want to mini stack this game a little bit, I might play one or the other. But I have more interest in the Patriots side here for sure.
And if you landed on like in that range, Edwards-Helaire, McKinnon, do you prefer?
I prefer Edwards-Helaire here.
Got it. Okay. And you mentioned
in a game script that favors the Chiefs, I would go with him. I don't see them playing from behind. That's when I kind of want to play McKinnon.
That makes sense. And you mentioned previously some running backs in that range: Ford, Hubbard. Do you like would you prefer these Chiefs guys, or would you prefer some of those other guys in the range if you landed kind of in that 5.5K range?
I would probably go with Hubbard.
Okay. Price, what about you? What do you like here?
So I'm kind of I'm with Jared. It's hard to get behind, but you can't fade Zeke. It's just hard in 2023 to think Zeke is going to be that owned, and you need to have him in your lineup because he's looked dusty as shit until last week. Actually, I don't mind the Patriots defense at 2,300. I think it's not a bad play because I know Mike's talked about the last couple of weeks with Kelsey. I think the totality of being an NFL tight end for a decade is just catching up to him. It's a hard position. You have to block and go out and run routes. He looks slow. Rice is by far their best receiver, but even he's not elite. He's just above average and looks great because he had fucking Kadarius Toney and MVS to compare him to. I don't mind Juju. I think he's 3,800, so he's pretty cheap. If Parker misses, I mean, we saw Juju get the targets last week, and we assume that the Chiefs are going to be beating them. So I think you either go the route of plug the cheap defense and hope they get you, 6-7 points, or play Juju and try and get 12 from them for 6 for 60 out of a 300 guy should pay off.
Yeah, Juju was the target last week. Douglas did not play, so we're expecting him to be back. But he will carry the ownership here, kind of similar to the Giants, right? With Wandell soaking up all the ownership, all these secondary pieces around him, priced around him as well, should check in at sub 5%. And that's what we see here with Douglas and Juju. And Zeke is he's not as cheap as like the Zach Moss that we talked about 2 weeks ago when he was like 4,800. Certainly a good spot here, but let's remember they're projected to score 2 touchdowns in this game, per Vegas. So if he doesn't get in the box, yes, he's going to catch passes and he'll be okay. But I think there's some guys in that 7K range that certainly could put up 30 plus DraftKings points. So I think there's certainly cases you can make this week to fade Zeke, but the Chiefs, their inability to really execute big plays and push the ball downfield has really, really hurt this offense this year. It's made it tough. And with Rice's price now at 6,100, I think that he's just fairly priced. He's not jumping off the page. And I'd be fine if I landed on him, but not a guy I'm going out of my way to prioritize. So this game, I prefer the Douglas from a receiving standpoint and Ezekiel Elliott and potentially in certain type of builds, where I can't get to that 7K range running back. Goat.
Yes, sir.
Anything deep here for you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got something.
We got Goaty.
So listen. How about a Patty Mahomes go fuck yourself game? I mean, come on. He's got a hair up his ass right now. The Chiefs aren't that fucking good, guys, and it's being proven. Mahomes is that good. I mean, how about a fuck you game? I love McKinnon in this game. I think he's going to ride McKinnon. I don't know. Call it what you want, but I'm all over McKinnon at that price point. I think Mahomes is going to come out and throw 4 touchdowns this weekend. That's just the way I see it, man. He's got a big ego, and fuck you, refs. When was the last time we heard a player say that? It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, to come out, someone special like him who never really comes out
like,
in the media at
Or
all.
they're just gonna flag the fuck out of him.
Right. He's the face of the NFL. What the fuck are they gonna do?
Well, we'll see. Bill Belichick's final stand against Mahomes. Fuck you game to the refs. Again, that's why you're come out of nowhere in these 153 maxes, and you're frequently there. I mean, no one is playing Mahomes. I don't think he's going to get any ownership this week. So, contrarian standpoint, I can get behind that. Anything else from this one, anyone?
No.
All right, let's get to, I think, the more exciting games. Now we're going to get in the upper 40s, 50s totals. We got 3 games in the afternoon window. So we'll start with the 49ers visiting the Cardinals. 49ers, pretty sizable 12.5-point road favorites here. 48-point total. Brock Purdy's been the epitome of efficient from the quarterback perspective. He's got endless amounts of weapons. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey out of the backfield. They're projected for 31 points this week from a team total perspective. Price, I will start with you in this one. There's got to be some fantasy goodness here.
So the hard part is getting it correct with the Niners, because it's like Russian roulette on who goes off. It was 2 weeks ago when Debo had -3 air yards and went for like 35 fucking fantasy points. Like that's not supposed to happen for a wide receiver. But so it makes me want to be, because I'm like, all right, so you stack Purdy with CMC, so you get all the touchdowns, but they fucking run the ball with Debo, and he gets rushing touchdowns like last week from the 2. So I think it's viable if you want to go like a Purdy Debo stack or run CMC, because obviously CMC is going to be very popular, but they're going to have to do it in 3 quarters, because at the rate it's going to go, they should blow them out. And Shanahan should start being smart and not trying to run them into the dirt. But I don't know what Purdy's ownership looks like. I know he was very popular last week. I would imagine he will be again this week with just how potent the offense is. And then
he's not going to be as high owned as he was last week.
Yeah. And then I believe Hollywood is hurt. Looks like he's had a heel issue for the last couple of weeks. So if he misses, I mean, McBride's by far the best play for the Cardinals and probably the most popular. I think he's over a 30% target share. And I believe I saw he's a first read for Kyler on like 60% of the routes he runs. So that, I mean, it's hard to pass up on that. I know he's not the cheap guy we had a few weeks ago, because, his volume's been going up. But I think Wilson is supposed to play. But in the game scripts, it's kind of hard to get behind him besides McBride or maybe a Rondell Moore if you want to take a shot on somebody cheap. But it's just hard to not imagine all of the Niners getting there somehow, because it seems every week they seem to do it. Yeah,
it's a constant debate and battle on this show. It seems like whoever Mike, Jerry, I pick, one of us is against the other. Tommy says we're all wrong every time. So, Mike, who is the 49er that's going off this week?
It's CMC. I mean, we saw it already this year. He scored 51 points against Arizona. What's changed, guys? I mean, really, did they bring in 2 defensive run stoppers? And there's another thing, Jerry and guys, we talk about it all the time. And I know I was anti Moss when everybody was on him and whatnot. But another thing that I've been anti against is let's not play a guy or a team because in the fourth quarter, blah, blah, they have a big lead. And last time we did that with Dallas against somebody, Dallas fell behind It could be a quick turnover. It could be them not moving the ball, Dak 3 and out, whatever it was. I think it was a Dallas game. And it's almost like the same thing here because your mind wants to go there, right? And congratulations, GOAT, on nailing the touchdown last week from Jordan Mason. And that's where
come on,
your mind goes, right? Like who's going to be there in the fourth quarter? And poor Jerry suffered through it, with McCaffrey with his helmet in his hand in the fourth quarter. But they're really hard to predict. And he can technically get there in the first quarter or first half. So he's my showing here because I don't think they're going to need to throw the ball so much that it's a Purdy week or even try to guess on one of the pass catchers. But with McCaffrey, you are getting one of the pass catchers and the running back who also scored 51 points against this very same team, and he's only $100 more than he was that week. So for me, it's McCaffrey in this game. And McBride, great call, price with McBride. Even at this price, what solves this price going up to 5,200? Him getting another 20-point day, which has been commonplace lately for him. So I like McCaffrey and McBride here. It's the old mix, McCaffrey and McBride, and I'm heading to McDonald's.
Yeah, and Mike, it's what you brought up there, the point around like blowouts and predicting who's going to be in. Like that's kind of the world that Jerry and myself live in with NBA DFS. Like there's blowouts every single night, and trying to figure out rotations. And the common assessment is if you're the team doing the blowing out, it's usually okay to play those guys, right? Because they had to score enough in order to get there, and that's kind of the same philosophy here. Or at least that's my thought process. If the 49ers blow them out, McCaffrey's likely putting up a good chunk of those points. Right. So probably doesn't matter that he has his helmet in his hands in the fourth quarter because he absolutely obliterated them in the first three. So, Jerry, how are you looking at the Niners? Is it a CMC, just jam them in week?
I actually think that Arizona kind of makes a game out of this. They tend to play better at home. It could be one of those games where the Niners just kind of overlooking them. They've had a lot of big games the last 3 weeks. So I think Arizona kind of makes a game out of it. From their side, I love McBride. I think he's an awesome play. I don't mind playing James Conner either. I mean, he's just getting a lot of volume. He's somebody that's going to – everybody kind of overlooks him every week. I don't mind playing him either this week. We kind of have to keep an eye on the injury status of these Arizona receivers. We could have some value open up with them over the weekend, so we're going to kind of have to monitor that. And I just like with the Niners, you can play them all here. I mean, obviously, I love CMC, I love Purdy, I love Debo, love Ayuk. I mean, there's no reason not to love the entire offense here. I don't think it's going to be one of those blowouts where these guys are going to be sitting. I think Arizona kind of makes a game out of it, and it just depends on the way you kind of want to attack it. You can pair Purdy with any one of these guys if you want. You can go Purdy, CMC, Debo. I mean, DraftKings just refuses to raise Purdy's price here. He's still pretty cheap, I think, for what he's capable of doing. So you can go any kind of way you want to build the Niners out. There's no wrong way of playing these guys here.
And Jerry, when you say you think Arizona keeps this a game, do you think it's like scoring fest back and forth, or do you think they can stifle the 49ers and kind of slow them down and the game still plays close?
It could be one of those situations where Arizona takes an early lead and the Niners are just, they got to just kind of keep their foot on the gas for the entire game. I don't think it's a game that goes back and forth, but we've seen it before where Arizona plays tough at home. They've done it against Dallas. They've done it against other teams. It could be one of those situations where they kind of get up early and the Niners are just forced to keep their guys on the field and playing their offense the entire game.
I like it. And what I took from that is James Conner is the Ezekiel Elliott pivot this week at the same price tag.
Exactly.
So
they're the same price. I like Conner a lot here.
I like it. Price, what are you looking at here?
No, you started with me.
Oh. Go.
Tommy, what's up, Tommy?
I keep switching I on the fly. Go. What do you like?
Listen, you guys touched on everything in this game. It's going to depend on how my lineups piece together. First of all, I am a fucking amazing person for the Mason call last week. First quarter, the text messages I got from girls around the country was amazing when that happened.
Chicks were watching the game?
Yeah, chicks were watching this game because then they texted me. So, listen, you guys touched on everything in this game. I love the Niners. I love them every week. I have. My brother's a fan. which ones you pick, it's really flip a coin. I mean, who's going to do it this week? CMC, he's one who you really know is going to, but who else? I'm going to have pieces of everyone. In the Niners.
CMC, CMC, it's a matter of does he do enough, right? Like,
right.
He's gonna get there. 100 and touchdown, probably not enough at 9,300. There's a lot of good running back spots this week, so you certainly are looking for some receptions, probably 2 scores for him at 9,300. But certainly an interesting game environment. We got 2 more in this window. Let's go to the Commanders and Rams. 50.5 point total. The Rams 6.5 point favorites here. We saw Rams finally break out offensively. The Commanders, they're the recipe for any team to get right on offense. I mean, this defense is absolutely pathetic, especially against the pass. They traded away their entire pass rush. Jerry, I'm going to start with you. First of all, are you going to this game? And then second of all,
I won't be at this game, no.
I mean, Ghost got his Redskins hat on, but what do you this projects as the most popular game of the week, just top to bottom. The quarterbacks, one of the highest quarterback ownerships that I can remember. Like, I'm projecting Stafford around 20%, Howell up in the teens. Like, they're going to soak up a large majority of ownership this week, but it's a pretty good matchup. So how are you breaking this one down?
I mean, yeah, just like the Niner game. I mean, I love all the Rams here. I think you're going to need at least one of them in your lineups. But stacking them up is definitely the way to go. Stafford, Kupp, Puka. I love Kyron Williams here. They're all in play. It just depends on how you want to build it out. Same thing as the Niners. I think you can use Demarcus Robinson too here if you want. Even Tutu Atwell at almost like no ownership. I mean, all it takes is like one bomb to the house. Like, he's still in the mix. He's still seeing snaps. I think a really sneaky play would be Davis Allen, the tight end. We saw him get 5 targets last week for 4 catches and a touchdown. He's only 3,300. He's an option here. He might be somebody you want to use in your stacks to get a little bit different. So, yeah, I mean, the Rams they're all in play here. You're going to want some of them. Pretty straightforward with them. On the other side with the Commanders, Brian Robinson's going to be out. I mean, it's going to be a game script for Antonio Gibson. You figure they're going to be playing from behind. He's a running back that tends to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. He's priced pretty cheap. He's somebody you can easily use. His ownership's going to, I think, probably steamed up a little bit as the weekend goes on. I think you can also play Sam Howell if you wanted to on the other side. The script is there for them. He's one of those quarterbacks. He just steadily puts up points every week because of the scripts that they're in. And I'm even willing to go back and take another shot at Terry McLaurin, who screwed me out of $100K a few weeks ago. But, I mean, one of these receivers is going to get there also. He's the one I would probably go to.
Jerry, he laid a fucking 0.
It's not going to happen 2 weeks in a row. He might get a 1.
You have to hate him forever. You have to hate him forever.
I mean,
you got to erase that shit from your mind.
You got to hate him forever.
Yeah. It's again, another team where their number one receiver, not massive, but a massive ownership difference. I have McLaurin upwards of 20%. Meanwhile, you have Dotson checking in around 3%, Samuel around 5.5%, 6%. So, certainly different ways to build this in a script that we would expect Washington to find most of their success via the air. So, Mike, I'll go to you next. What do you like in this one?
I mean, you guys nailed it. You basically named the starting lineup and backups included for the Rams and Washington. I mean, it's like I'm definitely way more interested in the Rams side. And you know me, I'm not like a Stafford guy per se, and I think you can get there with the pieces around them. But if there was ever a time to use them, it's here, with the pass catchers. But my favorite play on the Rams side is Kyron Williams. When you're looking at like Puka, Cooper, Kupp, and Kyron Williams, like all basically in the same price range, I'd rather take the guy, not only has a really good matchup against one of the, actually, I read that wrong. I'm sorry. Washington actually is decent against the run, bad versus pass, but he's going to get 20 touches. I mean, look at his carries, 25, 21, 20, 16. He's getting the carries, and he also is a piece of the passing game. So out of the 3, Kyron Williams is my preferred play, standalone. And then if I'm not playing the Williams lineup, it'll be the pass catching component. So it's like, I don't even want to guess between like Puka and Kupp. So it'd probably be like a 1-1, like in two different lineups.
I think you can stack them all up here. I think you can go onslaught.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's a 10-gamer, so it's not the 14-15 gamer where there's certainly going to be a game out of nowhere that shoots out.
Yeah, and we talked about all the other games that we have no interest in, so you kind of have to have a lot of interest in these games.
Yeah, I love this game from a fantasy perspective. It's just so hard with Washington. I mean, you nailed it too. Gibson is my favorite play over there because it's the consistent play. Like, he is going to get the carries, and he was already the pass catching back, and they'll most likely be in a negative game script. So it's like Gibson is like my favorite. I'd rather him at that price, than let's say Samuel, right? Or another like one of the guys, Logan Thomas. I mean, like, so Gibson's the clear play on Washington for me.
Price, what about you?
So I'm kind of with Jerry on his breakdown of it. My first note was that Howe somehow just consistently puts up numbers. I get their defense is trash. They're going to give up a bunch of the Rams. But Howe, I think with Robinson out, that kind of gives Howe a little bit more upside for a rushing touchdown if they get inside the 10. He already has a handful of rushing touchdowns as it is. So I think I'd go Samuel out of the three receivers personally. He's a little bit more of a gadget play, but he seems to get more intermediate targets than the other two, which should help. And then on the other side, I was with Jerry. I wrote up to the full Rams stack of Stafford's been lights out the last 2 weeks, and now he gets probably the best matchup he's had all year. So he's coming off almost 600 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. So if you're going to pick one of the receivers, it makes sense to pay $500 more for Cooper Kupp than to pay $7,300 for Puka. And like Mike said, Kyren is probably my favorite running back of the slate. It's just hard to pay a lot for him. But his upside is through the fucking roof because they use him out of the backfield to catch balls all the time. We've seen him put up, 150 rushing. It's just one of those games where Kyren could completely break the slate with everything going correctly. And I wouldn't mind a Howe Gibson Kyren little game stack because you get all the pieces, and then Gibson's going to catch the rock, so it kind of covers all the bases for him.
Yeah, I like that. Goat, any deep sleeper plays or core plays here in this one?
No, flat out one of my lineups. It's already going in. Stafford, Williams, Gibson, Kupp, McLaurin. Little sneak preview. Bills defense, and now I got 3 spots open with an average of 51.66 left. That's literally going to be one of my lineups. Those 3, hey, a lot of different ways we can go. Those 3.
Yeah, and Jerry, if you're stacking up the Rams and double stacking them, is your lean to go Stafford with 2 pass catchers, or is it Stafford, Williams, and one of the pass catchers?
If I'm stacking this game, I'm gonna overstack it. This is because everybody's gonna be stacking it. Everybody's gonna be playing either Stafford, Puka, and maybe Cooper Kupp or another receiver with him. Play them all. Play Kyren. Play Stafford. Play Puka. You can do that on this slate. It's very doable. So the way I would be attacking it, I'm probably going to be overstacking it if I do just stack this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. If this game plays into the low to mid 60s and no other game kind of gets over the mid 40s, you could have multiple pieces of this game being on the tournament winner. So,
and Gibson
I agree with that. Yeah, Gibson at 5,200. Kind of. I'm curious to see where ownership goes. Like right now, I have him at like 15%, and that is post Robinson news. But I think this may get steamed a little bit. I know we talked about Kyren. I think he's a very strong play. I would be hesitant to play Kyren, Zeke, and CMC in the same lineup. They all project to be around 45 to 55% owned this week. So for me in tournaments, I'm likely not going to have a build that has all 3 of those chalk running backs in it. One more game to go here. Let's go to Dallas visiting the Bills. 50-point total. Buffalo, a small 1.5-point favorite. Certainly a game in Buffalo this time of year. It's going to be cold, a little bit windy, but maybe a chance for rain later in the game. Both offenses certainly have some firepower. We've seen, especially with the Cowboys over the last several weeks, just hang massive, massive numbers. Going on the road here into Buffalo, tough place to go. Mike, I'm going to start it with you. What do you got here in our last game of the slate?
I mean, it's a really, really tough game. I mean, normally with these two teams, like I can name 6 players from the Cowboys and 6 from the Bills. It's just really tough. I mean, all things considered that, Dallas is actually on the road component and they're priced up. I mean, like CeeDee Lamb is up to 9,200, I think it was. $9,200, you know what I mean? And I usually like both tight ends on these teams, but like just not so much as in love with like either of their matchups. I don't know, man. I think I'm going to be under-owned to this game. I really don't love anybody here. I mean, it's another one of those games. You keep calling me on games where it's like, I just don't want to force it. There's just so much I like in the Rams-Washington game. There's so much I like in these other games that I'm just might not even own a lot here.
Yeah, I think this could be a spot where, if you have a guy or 2 or 3 that go in the 1 o'clock window and you have a lot of exposure to the Rams game and the early guys flop, like this is the potential spot to pivot to, because I think the field is thinking of the same mindset, Mike,
Right.
At least from an ownership projection standpoint. Everyone's, the highest owned guy in this game is, probably Josh Allen, right around 12-14%. Maybe CeeDee Lamb gets a little bit ahead of him, but there's no one in this game that's going to be over 20% owned. So tournament perspective, despite it being in Buffalo cold, I think there's some sneakiness here. Price, I'll go to you next. What do you like here?
So I'll go on record. I despise the Dallas Cowboys more than any team in this world. But Dak has been fucking balling. So it's kind of hard not to, look at him. But like you touched on, CeeDee Lamb, 9,200 is too fucking much for CeeDee Lamb, I feel like. It's hard to get there unless you want to pivot directly and not play McCaffrey. But it's hard for me to click on these guys when I want them to fail, just like in general. But I think Pollard's probably my favorite Cowboy. I think he's priced fairly. He's looked a whole lot better the last 4 or 5 weeks. And then Ferguson would probably be the pass catcher I'd pick out of all of them. I don't really like playing the roulette of Cooks and Gallup and then hoping that CeeDee Lamb gets there to pay off. But on the other side, it's kind of hard to not just play Josh Allen over Dak because there's only a 200 salary difference. And I feel like Allen typically has the higher fantasy upside, especially with his rushing. James Cook looked pretty good last week, receiving out of the backfield. I think he had 80 yards, so he's another solid play. The hard part is their receivers, because Diggs has been terrible for about a month now. I don't think he has but one finish inside the top 20 for fantasy receivers week by week. So if you're going to play a receiver, I think I would go down to Shakir as a cheap guy. And then I really wish that Knox wasn't back because Kincaid's a monster, getting a little short outside of the slot at tight end. But I think that's really it. I'd go Pollard is my favorite Cowboy, and then Josh Allen would be – you can play him naked, or if you want to pair him with someone, I'd go cheap with Shakir.
Yeah, the Tony Pollard, interesting. Called out how good or much better he's looked the last 4 weeks. 4 weeks ago to the day, Tommy G told us we were complete idiots for playing him at 6,600. Went for 18 and has consistently gotten better week over week. So just another one of Tommy's terrible takes. Jerry, you're the Bills, Josh Allen kind of whisperer. It's a spot he's going to be, lower owned than some other weeks. So is this a week you're looking to play into him?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I play Josh Allen almost every week. I have at least one lineup with him. This week is no different. I think Buffalo wins this game, and I think it's going to be a lot of it on Josh Allen's shoulders here. I'm almost certainly going to have a lineup with Josh Allen and Diggs. He's definitely my preferred pairing in this matchup. It's not going to be a game I'm going to full stack them, but Allen to Diggs is something I'm definitely going to have. Another piece that I'm kind of interested in is James Cook. Since Joe Brady's taken over as the offensive coordinator, he's averaging almost 19 fantasy points a game on the last 5 weeks. I think he's a nice contrarian play on the slate. I don't mind, now that I'm thinking about it, Allen, Cooks, Diggs. It's something I'm interested in. I don't know if I'm going to play Diggs and Cooks together, but it just depends what contest I'm in. But I'm definitely going to have Allen and Diggs in one of my lineups. On the Cowboys side, I mean, I love CD here. I don't know about that price. Buffalo looks like they lost Micah Hyde and Epinesa on defense last week. I don't know who's going to be able to cover CD Lamb right here. It's just about if is he going to be able to pay off that price tag. I mean, that's a huge tag, almost 10K. So I don't know if I won't be getting to anybody else on Dallas here. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay up for CD on the slate either, but Allen and Diggs is something I'm definitely going to have.
I mean, yeah, CD's up there in that, normal Tyreek territory. And CD's not a guy that typically will take a 40, 50-yarder over the top to the house where we see Tyreek do that week over week. It's a little bit more consistent volume. But I certainly think there are paths in this one. Trev, what about you?
Let's fucking go. I'm Team Jerry.
Yes.
Dude, all you Dallas Cowboy loving fucker, the fucking Cowboys suck donkey dick. Fuck them. They're fine at home. They're a pretty good team at home. As soon as they get out of home, they suck. They're going to go up to Buffalo. Buffalo's going to kick the shit out of them. And I love Cook. I love Diggs. Whatever. When we zig, we zag. So no one's going to be on Diggs this week. I think it's a big game for him. I'm Team Jerry. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's right. Yeah, it's certainly.
I do like Ferguson though. I like Fergie. I think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit through the tight end.
Actually, I'm with you on that one. Ferguson, you could definitely play Ferguson here.
Yeah, but Dak sucks on the road, guys. Dak sucks in the cold. It's not gonna just automatically fucking change. Dak's good at home, and he's good at home against shitty teams. He's not good on the. It's fucking fuck the Cowboys. Fuck the Cowboys.
There you have it. So that'll wrap us up for Week 15. It's a main slate. We'll kind of go around the horn here. 2, 3 guys. You're really confident in that you're going to have in your first 1 or 2 lineups this week. Mike, I will start with you.
You always put me on the spot and start me when I don't want to be started with.
You always want to go first.
I normally do, but like even now, like I hear him formulating like what we're doing next, and I'm like sneaking off to like look so I answer in case he calls on me first. And here he is calling on me first. So I love the Howell at quarterback call. I think it's a great spot. I've been on him a lot this year. He's consistently put up over 20 points a game. And I was flirting with like a Flacco and a Levis and whatnot, but like you pay a little more and you're getting a guy that has 20, north of 20, 4 games in a row, has the rushing ability to get there. I love the call. Somebody said with Robinson out, he can scramble more. He's got so many ways to score for you and what's going to be a great script for him. And then sticking in that same game, I really like Kyron Williams, the usage he's getting, the dependability, not really sharing carries. I love him in that spot. Rashad White. So you can see the theme here. I really like spending up for running backs this week. And regardless of the ownership and regardless, Jerry, if Aaron Jones comes back, I still like Jaden Reed. I mean, they're not only using him. I mean, he's just very explosive. I mean, like he really jumped off the screen, just watching him take the handoff and explode with the ball. I don't think that would wane. I think if anything, he'd get even a little more of that as the season goes on and script or game plan some more gadget plays for him. So I like him as well as that 4,900 price tag.
Price, appreciate you joining. Who are you locking into the lineups? 2, 3 guys. And then obviously we'll follow up with you Sunday morning for your final takes.
So Njoku's for sure going to be the guy I plug into my main lineup just because I like Joe Flacco giving him all the looks over the middle. Kyron, it's hard not to plug him in. And then Sam Howell. So I really think that Rams Commanders game is going to be the nuts. And so I want as many pieces I can fit into that. It's just those 2 I think are by far the best pieces if you want to stack around everything. So Howell, Kyron, and then Njoku.
Go.
Hi, how are you? We're gonna be very simple here. We're just gonna do Williams. What are you gonna do? We're all gonna be on this fucking guy. He's a great play. What are you gonna say? Cup, love Cup, and fuck you, Cowboys. The Bills defense.
I like it, Jerry. What about you?
I mean, outside of the obvious plays that we had mentioned, I'll probably put a few more in my article over the weekend. But I love Stephon Diggs as a low owned play. I think Diggs has a lot of upside in this matchup. He's probably somebody you're going to see in a lot of my lineups. Also, I did want to mention after NFL season, PGA season is going to be coming up. Price is one of the sharpest PGA minds that I've ever talked to. Him and I are going to be doing a show on YouTube every Tuesday night, giving out our favorite PGA DFS plays. Definitely something you guys are going to want to check out.
I'll definitely be tuned in. I blindly follow you and Price in the PGA streets every week. So I would agree with you there. Yeah, I think this is a great show. As Jerry mentioned earlier, we're going to have all content up for tomorrow's 3-game slate. We'll be up on the website by tomorrow morning, first thing. And then all of our main slate content by tomorrow afternoon. Jerry and I will be continuing to update throughout Sunday morning. Price and the boys will be doing a show Sunday morning, and we'll be live in the Discord helping you build your winners all the way up till lock. So if you haven't already, head on over to 4deep.com. Look at down below. VIP20 will get you 20% off your first payment. So I'd encourage you to take advantage and get the biggest bang for your buck. Sign up for the monthly, the multi-month, kind of whatever fits your price range. But as they mentioned, we have NFL going, NBA is going strong. We just launched our new NCAA Bowl package where Tommy and Howie breaking down every single game, giving out bets, pre-game, live, within game. It's a whole separate package. So VIP 20 will get you 20% off any package you're looking for. Appreciate you guys joining us this week. We look forward to week 15 and best of luck.
Where's the let's go?
Let's fucking go!
Stay cashing, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Stay gassing, motherfucker.
Benny's asleep. Benny, where
Where
you
did
at?
Benny? Cue Benny.
Benny high as a kite.
Benny says
What
that
am I supposed to do now?
Oh, he's knocked out for sure. He's knocked out.
Yeah.
He's sitting on
He
Santa
said he's at the
Claus's
tree. He went to
lap.
see the tree.
Rip.
What if we log off?
All right.
Just stop recording. Just log off.
Yeah, it'll stop recording. All right, boys.
All right, guys. Good show.
All right,
All right.
boys, we'll talk later.
Good stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Tomorrow. Bye, guys.